Okay guys, still stuck in here waiting on the hurricane to go by, so I thought I'd get caught up on some of my Q&A videos. So here we go again, and we are going to start with a question from Owen. And Owen says, any chance we can see a multi-angle take of the sliders, screwballs, etc.? The rear angle ones don't quite give us the full picture. Loving the series, it's my secret weapon. Well, Owen, I do appreciate the props. As far as the angles, and I've mentioned this before a couple of times already, that I'm working on a series called Pitches where I'm going to feature one video for every pitch in depth and detail. But in those videos, I am going to have a slow-mo close-up video of each of these pitches from the back, from the side, and from actually the batter's perspective. That way you can see the way the ball releases and the spin on the ball. Now, I will just say this, just as a caution, and I've done some test video already to see how it works. Now, when you're actually in motion and your hand isn't actually moving and that release at full speed, it looks slightly different than the way I actually show the grip. And I guess that's just the dynamic of the hand and wrist and the whole mechanic. So it looks slightly different. So I would just say, hopefully it's some benefit to you, but if you try to copy that, it may not come out the same way, because the way I grip the ball and the way I visualize the grip and the way I visualize the actual release looks slightly different than it does when I really throw it. So I don't know why that is, but it does. It just looks slightly different in full speed. So anyway, that's the only caution I would say on that, but we're going to do it anyway, just for the fun of it, and so you can see what they look like. Next question is from Charles. He says, is there any chance of a knuckleball video? Yes, I am going to include a knuckleball in that series. Now, I've been struggling with how to put the knuckleball in the overall package, because a knuckleball is unpredictable, and I generally don't like to throw unpredictable pitches. You know, my thing is to be very precise and to know exactly what I'm trying to do. If I'm trying to carve up that hitting zone and hit pitches in certain spots, and I'm trying to do something to the batter. A knuckleball isn't quite like that, because a knuckleball just floats up there and it can go any which way. So I am going to include the knuckleball, and I have to give it some thought exactly how to use it. Right off the bat, I would say a knuckleball is good, and the way I use a knuckleball is when I get to know the teams I'm playing against and those batters. If I know that batter doesn't like a knuckleball, he's going to get a knuckleball. And if they're struggling with it, if I've had success with him, he's just going to get a knuckleball until he figures out that he can hit a knuckleball. Some guys just freak out. You know, they think, oh my gosh, it's a knuckleball. It's moving around. They see it coming up there with the seam stationary and it's just floating in there. And I don't know what it does to them. It's mostly psychological, because a knuckleball honestly does not move that much. I mean, every once in a while, maybe every 10th or 15th knuckleball will really float around a lot. I guess all it takes is just seeing one of those, and then every knuckleball they see after that, they just, you know, it does something to them and they have a tough time with it. So a knuckleball is good, at least for that. And there may be some other cases that I will include when I get to that video on the knuckleball. But yes, we're going to do a knuckleball video. All right, now a question and comment from Roland. There has never been a series on slow-pitch softball pitching because pitchers have never wanted to give up their secrets and strategies. Now, Roland has a couple of questions here after this, but before I answer his questions, I want to address the statement about people giving up secrets. I always find this amusing, and it's not just softball, it's a lot of different things. The idea that you don't want to give up a secret because someone may use that against you competitively, it kind of amuses me, especially when we're talking about pitching and softball, because the only secret of consequence is hard work and dedication. There's no tip or secret formula that I can give you that you can just listen to and then copy and then be competitive as a pitcher. There's no shortcut. You have to get out there and you have to learn how to throw those pitches. You have to put in the time. You have to put in the reps. You have to take this system and adapt it to yourself. I teach this system in a way that I hope that any person can take it and then adapt it to their own abilities. The principles are the same, but the actual execution of the pitches really depends upon you and your unique nature, your unique abilities. So that's where the real secret is. It's in the hard work, it's in the application, and that takes a lot of time and effort. So, you can watch all my videos you want, you can watch me pitch, you can do all that, but until you get out there and you make it work for yourself, and that takes a lot of time and effort, it's really not going to do you any good. It'd be like me picking up one of my guitars back here and then playing a couple of riffs, a couple of progressions, and then saying, here, you play it, and you don't know how to play a guitar. You can watch me forever, and you'll never be able to play it until you put in the time and effort to play. So anyway, just a comment on secrets. There's no such thing as a secret other than hard work and effort and determination. That's the real secret. Now, Roland's first question is, any certain pitching strategies for senior softball age 60 plus? Well, Roland, I can't really say. I've never played senior softball. Now, I was invited one weekend to play on a 50 and above team to play one Saturday, and I did play that. And nothing against you guys that play senior softball. Someday I'll be playing senior softball. But I didn't really care for it that much because at least the team I played with, they were just too laid back for me. I prefer a more competitive type of game, a game where the score really matters. And for some reason, these guys I played with, it just seemed like, they were there just to have a good time and then just, go whatever they do. So anyway, I didn't really care for it. But as far as the strategy for pitching and seniors, there really isn't. I mean, everything's the same. The breaking pitches are breaking pitches, knuckleballs are knuckleballs. The hitting zone's the same, timing's the same. I wouldn't change anything. The principles I teach would be applicable in any slow pitch softball league. So not for that. The other question that Roland has concerning the Speedup Rule and starting with a 1 strike and 1 ball count with a courtesy foul. Any strategy for that? Not really, except it just puts you at an advantage because now you only have to get 1 strike on them and you have them against the wall. So what I would say is, now in the league that we play in, if you have a strike and then you hit a foul ball, you're out. I mean, that's strike 2 right there and you're out. So it puts you at an advantage as a pitcher if you have that speed up rule. What I would say, probably if you only had to get 2 strikes on the batter, is I would probably start with a really good breaking pitch and then make him decide whether he wants to hit a breaking pitch for a strike or take it. Most batters I have found, if that's a really good breaking pitch and it doesn't look like a strike until late, they're going to take that pitch. So now you're ahead and you can do other things. This is another good spot for a knuckleball. A lot of guys don't like to hit a knuckleball for strike 1 because they figure, well, they're going to get another one. They don't like the knuckleball. They'll let it go. If you can throw it for a strike, that's a great place to hit a knuckleball too. So just get ahead. Just don't throw, a big fat pitch down the middle. That doesn't make any sense because they're already behind. They have 1 strike on them, so they're going to hit that. So that's what I would probably do, is throw something that they're likely to take. So that's what I would do. Thanks for the questions, Roland. Now, I have another question here. This is a question from Raul. Now, this is the title of the video, Windy, how to pitch in a windy situation. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? So I want to spend a few minutes on this, and this question comes from Raul. Do you have any tips on how to control breaking pitches during windy nights? I have noticed some of my breaking pitches, he says, still new to your style of pitching, move more than I need them to move during windy nights. There's no such thing as a pitch moving more than you need to, Raul. You just need to adjust to it. But anyway, that's a side thing. Now, I love pitching in the wind, okay? I don't particularly care for pitching with a side wind, but I really like pitching into the wind. Now, that's a double-edged sword because when you pitch into the wind, the balls carry. So a warning track fly turns into a home run. Okay, so that's the downside. the plus side of pitching into the wind is the breaking pitch breaks much better, and a knuckleball does tend to move around more than it normally would. So that's one thing that you need to think about. Now, if the wind is blowing from the side, if your break, and his question was specifically to breaking pitches. Now, if you're pitching a straight, say a straight four-seam backspin pitch, if you're pitching and you have a side wind, you're going to adjust. And you just have to. If it's gusty, that's really tough. You know, it's going to be a tough night. Everyone's going to have fun. But if the wind's blowing from the side, you just need to, you know, make that adjustment. You see how much the wind's carrying it. Okay, if it's pushing it, you know, 6 inches to a foot, then you need to, you know, pitch to that side a little bit. Now, with a breaking pitch, it's no different. If your breaking pitch breaks, say, 12 inches or so, and the wind's blowing another 6 to 12 inches, then you're going to have to pitch, you know, 2 feet, make a 2-foot adjustment on your targeting. Same way with the breaking pitch going the other way or the wind blowing the other way. There's no real difference in the adjustment pitching a breaking pitch with a crosswind as there is a straight pitch. So that's just something you'll learn to do as a pitcher to make that adjustment. But if you have a good side, say for example, I have a wind from my third base side and a nice strong wind. I tell you what, you can make a slider come out of, looks like it's coming from the third baseman, if you know how to throw a good slider, because you can throw that pitch up into that wind, especially if you put some arc on it and it's good and windy. That you can pitch that ball up here about, you know, 3 feet sometimes, and that pitch will come right back in and right over the plate. And that's a lot of fun, you know. I know it's kind of unpredictable, kind of crazy, especially if it's gusting, but a pitch like that is just super nasty. Now, your screwball's not going to work. Your screwball's probably going to go straight because, you know, it's going to break. If you have a good screwball, it might break 12 to 18 inches. So if the wind's blowing from that side, it's going to straighten it out. And then even your straight pitch is going to curve a little bit. So everything has to be adjusted, and essentially you adjust it by your targeting. So if the wind's blowing from your back, your breaking pitches are not going to break much at all. It's like pitching everything straight. Your knuckleball's not going to move much. Your slider, your screwball, they're all going to straighten out. You know, if you have a 12-inch to 18-inch break, you know, you're going to have maybe a 6-inch break if you have a strong wind from the back. But the plus side is now the wind is going to keep long flies on the warning track. So that's the advantage of the wind blowing from your back. It's not quite as much fun pitching, but you're going to get some help from the wind to keep the balls in the park. So that's what I would say about pitching in the wind. And I really do enjoy pitching in the wind. So anyway, that's all I'll say about that. But anyway, thanks for your questions, guys. I appreciate it. And for all of you that have not subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe. And then that way, when I start releasing my videos on pitches, you'll be notified. And I appreciate the comments and ask questions. I'm going to try to answer more questions by video. And so anyway, thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate you being there.